once again, hello. If you are watching this video, then I am assuming that you are getting ready to read House on Mango Street. This quick video is just going to kind of give you some background on House on Mango Street, and it's also going to explain your first few assignments. So, House on Mango Street is by Sandra Cisneros, and basically a little information about her is that she did grow up in Chicago, and this book does take place in Chicago. She was actually born in a Hispanic quarter of Chicago in 1954, and she is considered a Mexican American, just like our main character Esperanza is. She was the only girl in a family of 7, and she did grow up in poverty. And you're going to find in this story that it is about a Mexican American little girl named Esperanza growing up in poverty in Chicago. So you can see that a lot of her personal experiences are what she actually wrote about into this fiction novel. So her parents did emphasize education, and her family did move a lot, and as a result, she was very shy and she was introverted, and she basically the way that she connected to her community was through her writing, and you will see that a lot of that actually happens with Esperanza. So this is a current photo of our author. She did attend Loyola University as an English major when she decided to become a writer. She did teach some high school English creative writing courses. And basically, kind of what was holding her back in the beginning is she was afraid that her underprivileged background, remember that she was raised in poverty, would put her at a disadvantage to the literary world. However, her heritage and her unique voice and the way that she writes has actually shaped her career and this author. So, basically, the House on Mango Street has one narrator or one major character. So it is written by Esperanza Cordero. She's 13. She is a Chicano girl, which means that she lives in Chicago. She is Hispanic. She is an American. Although told in the voice of a young girl, it does cover what's considered mature subject matter. So you'll see a lot of that throughout the book. In the first few chapters, it's going to cover that in English, Esperanza actually means hope, and it also means waiting. And there's going to be I believe, a study question that revolves around the meaning of Esperanza. So there's an answer for you. It means hope. This choice of name is significant in the novel because the character and her independence represent her trying to get out of the slums, her trying to become something better, to become something more, and to get out. As she watches her neighborhood, she decides that she will not become like the women she knows who are trapped and powerless in a man's world. So here's our little photo that kind of shows, the white bird being set free. That's going to be a huge theme throughout this book. So basically, the setting of it is Mango Street symbolizes both Esperanza's ball and chain and her inspiration. So ball and chain is like basically where you're trapped. So it's not only where she's trapped, but it's also her inspiration. The second thing to note is that in the beginning of the novel, she is disappointed with her house. She's disappointed and she's embarrassed. She's embarrassed of the poverty and her street and her neighborhood and her community. And this is going to come up over and over. She finds that she is not like the other residents of Mango, that she can and will find the strength to leave. She is bound and determined to get out of the life that she currently is. She realizes that Mango is a part of her, and where she comes from is as important as where she's going. So she kind of realizes this later on, and this is going to be important, this realization. It's going to come up in some essay questions later on. She knows she must come back, basically return to the neighborhood to help others who are trapped there. She needs to come back to help others basically get out and find inspiration, and that's a lot of the reason why this author writes. So Cisneros, remember this is the author's writing, is very imaginistic, which means that you can really picture what's happening. She makes unexpected comparisons between things to give connotations to what she describes. All right. So the structure. The novel is told in a series of vignettes. So vignettes are kind of think of it as very short chapters, basically. Notice literally 1 to 4 pages each. This is not a typo. 1 to 4 pages. You will find that some images are literally 1 page long. So there's no real chronological plot. So it's not going to go where here's some background information, now the plot is rising, here's the climax. You're not going to see any of that, okay? Because it's just vignettes. There's no actual plot. It's just a series of insights through Esperanza. The vignettes show the trends in the community. They will show strength and weakness. They will show freedom and bondage. Okay. Characters. These are going to be all the characters that you're going to come across. So Alicia is the medical student who is still bound to her old fears. You're going to meet Maureen, who waits. That's what you'll know about her. Beautiful Raphael is the modern-day Rapunzel. Rosa Vargas, with too many children, crying for the husband who left. Mamacita, who dreams of the pink house she left behind, and she refuses to speak English. Sorry, I lost my little pointer here. Sally is the subject of abuse until she marries to escape before 8th grade. Yes, she married before she was 8th grade, and moves from Mango Street into another sort of trap. And so you'll learn kind of about Sally and how she's now trapped in marriage. And then there is Esperanza, who is like the skinny trees outside her tiny window, who longs for a house all her own, who starts her own quiet war. And her war is trying to get out. So your book that was sent to you by Insight may or may not look like this. This is actually since Aro's first novel, and it is a way to relate to her cultural identity. And this is gonna come up over and over and over, where she's trying to break the cycle of defeats that women's suffrage due to social and religious stereotypes. So, on a side note, if you do not have this novel at this point, you need to call tech support. I know it's weird because you're like tech support, but when you dial that number, there will actually be an option for like equipment and school supplies, and you just need to say, hey, I don't have my book, and they'll look up your file and they will confirm that, and they will send it right to you, and so you should have it very quickly. So that's where to find the actual reading. I'm going to show you next where to find the study questions and the journals, okay? For the study questions, for every chapter, there are going to be 6 options, and you need to choose 2. You need to write 6 to 8 sentences with textual evidence, which means you're going to need to use quotes to answer your question, okay? And then there's going to be journals for each grouping of vignettes, basically every 14. And again, they're going to be personal responses. They're going to be your voice. There's going to be usually 6 options, and again, you're going to choose 2. These need to be a little bit longer. Notice 16 sentences, so double the length compared to the study questions. And this is where you're going to share your personal experiences, your thoughts, your feelings, your connections. So this is a really easy one because it's you and your information, okay? In a second, I'm going to show you where to find those. I do want to tell you how the chapters are broken down. So basically, this week you should be focusing on chapters 1 through 14. Next week, you'll want to focus on chapters 15 through 29. And the third week, you'll want to focus on chapters 30 through 44. You do want to notice that this week, you will have a writing assignment that's based on reading the entire book. So there will be an extra assignment in addition to the journals and the study questions this particular week. Okay, give me just a second here, and I'm going to get into class. Okay, so in class here, what you will need to do is to find the first journal. You're going to go to section 2. Sorry about that. So section 2, see here it says read vignettes 1 through 14 or pages 3 through 32. It's not very long. And then if you go to part B right here, part B, here's where you're going to find your journal prompts. So again, you just need to do 2 of them. So you can kind of see what we're talking about. What would you miss most if you suddenly had to move to a different city? What are the hardest things about being a boy or being a girl, depending on which one you are? So you can see that this is where you're going to submit your personal experiences, your connections, your thoughts, your feeling. Notice that it says write a one-page response. I'm going to say the minimum needs to be 16 sentences. So that'll give you kind of an idea. It needs to be a really good paragraph. If you don't have enough to say, then answer more than 2 questions. Okay? If you click the part C, this is where you're going to find your study questions. So you're going to choose one from each one. So the first vignette you're going to read is House on Mango Street. Notice there's 8 choices. You only have to choose one. When you get to the second the second vignette, it's called Hairs. Well, now you have 6 choices. When you get to the third vignette, it's called Boys and Girls. Now you have 4 choices. But now you get back to My Name, it jumps back to 6 choices. So you'll kind of see that there's, between 4 and 8 choices. Again, you need to choose one, and you do have to use text support, which means you need to use a quote. So if you say, let's say you answer this first question, what is the tone of the first paragraph on page 3? Let's say you say it's really happy. Well, you can't just say the tone is really happy. You need to give me examples and give me quotes to show me how you know that the tone is happy. Okay? When you're ready to do the rest of your work for the following weeks, you just click on section 3. Notice this is vignettes 15 through 29, and it's going to follow the same pattern. Part B is going to be journals. Part C is going to be your study questions. And again, click on section 4 for the last of the book. Vignettes 30 through 44. Part B is your journals. Part C is your study questions. So really, once you get going with this, I think you're going to find that it's fairly easy. Now, obviously, when you're doing your study questions, what I would strongly, strongly, strongly recommend is read the vignette, stop, answer the study question. Read the next vignette, stop, answer the study question, because you've got to be using quotes and you need to put some time and effort into answering these, and it's going to be tons easier if you read, stop and answer, read, stop and answer. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know, and otherwise I look forward to seeing your work for this unit.